Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to create this particular HR attrition dashboard. So we have this particular part to actually explain, much about the employee satisfaction. And when we get to this particular part of the dashboard, this is where we try to see the job roles and stuff like that. Now we have some amazing designs here, and we have this particular part as well to just give you some breakdown about the age group. So without talking too much, let us go into the task you will need to actually use to create this particular dashboard. Here is the situation. Your boss has just reached out to you to create an HR dashboard that only looked into the attrition in the organization. The dataset might need a bit cleaning. Push it into Power Query and have it cleaned and transformed. So number one thing you have to do with the data is to categorize the employee's distance from home into far away, far, and very far. And the second one is for you to break the employee's work years into groups with interval of 10 years. And the third thing you have to do with the data set is for you to transform the job satisfaction from number like 1, 2, 3 to 4 to something more readable. And the fourth one is for you to create an age bucket for the employee's age column. So what about this? Then the fifth one is for you to show necessary KPI in your dashboard. So with this, we're going to go to Power BI to have this particular, dashboard created. Let us get started with this particular blank PBIX. We're going to bring in our data. So if you open this place up, it gives you different types of data sources we have available in Power BI. The very one you're going to actually use to get our data right now is this particular Excel workbook. It could actually sit in a TXT or CSV folder and other sources, but this is the one we are going to use. So now I'm going to click on connect. So it opens up this place for us. So right here, we have our data sitting right here. So the next thing is for me to click on open. Then it actually brings up the two tables we have inside that particular workbook. So if I click on this right now, all I do is just to see the preview of the data. So by me looking at the data is not as clean as what we can use to analyze and stuff like that. So right now we've not given it the access to actually connect to either Power BI or Power Query. So all we have to do is to check it right here. Okay, now the first load here, what it does is this. It's going to actually help you to take this data into Power BI. So not that you're not going to have it in Power Query, but you just feel like you don't want to go through Power Query. That means your data is clean, because already we've seen that the data is not clean. We are going to use the transform data. All right, welcome to the Power Query environment. So if this is your first time to just hit this channel, all you have to do is to hit the subscribe button, and let us work with this particular data set we have. So now what we have here are some bunch of columns without nothing on it, and we have some other columns that has some good amount numbers of data. So first of all, when you actually receive your data and you connect to it, the first thing you do is to go to view and check the column quality. Already we are very sure that those are some kind of empty rows. We're going to have them removed, but we should be able to detect more of those issues. Wow. So now it's giving us 99% of valid and 1% of some kind of, empty rows and whatsoever. So close this and actually go back to home. The first thing you can do now is just to remove those particular top rows with some kind of empty, cells, whatever it is. So now I'm going to count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what I'm going to do now is just to make sure I go to this particular side where it says manage columns or reduce rows. So click on this particular remove rows, and you see those particular bunch of options. So click on remove top rows. So remember, we have 6 rows to be removed from here. So try to enter the 6 rows. And if I go ahead and click on OK right now, what happens? I have those rows gone for me. So the next thing I do is just for me to check the column quality again. So this time around, I should have it in 100%. That is nice. Okay, one more thing, please. So if you look at it now, the headers are not actually cool. So we need to actually make sure we promote this particular header, like department, education field, employees number. So by clicking on this particular use first rows as header. So that is done for me 100%. So if I scroll to this end to check what it is that is going on right here, so I start seeing some kind of strange thing, which I don't really feel like, like what it is. So first of all, let us go to this source file to know what is going on so that we can actually prevent this from not happening in subsequent time to come. So right here on the data access, so we can see somebody had already run some little analysis right here to know how many employees we have available. So using the count A function. And if I scroll to this end, so maybe the same person actually did the same thing right here by just typing total number of male employees. So here we can see count if is being used here. So you can either delete all this one and have your data okay. But what if we want to prevent this from not happening? Let's say somebody would just come here and start doing some funny things. So what we can do now is just going back to Power Query. So instead of us to actually manually delete it from here, what we're going to do now, we go to manage what? We go to manage columns. So I'm going to open this particular choose columns right from here. So you have two options sitting here waiting for you to be used. So the first option says choose columns, while the second option says go to column. So we are going to use choose column. So under choose column, if I scroll down, I see those particular columns that has nothing inside them. So I'm going to actually make sure I deselect them. So do them manually. So when next somebody actually enters something like this, it's not going to show up right here. So I'm going to click on OK. And that will actually give me just the data I'm looking forward to seeing. So the next thing I do now is for me to actually go right to my view. And if I go to my column quality, I should see 100% across every single column. So which means I'm ready to go and start analyzing this data. So you can decide to actually rename this particular part right here, maybe to just data, if that is what you want, and hit enter, and it changes this particular query aspect here. So right now, our data is ready to be pushed to the Power BI environment for we to use it for analysis. If you're just getting started, you just have to come to home and you can see close and apply will definitely do the job for you. So we don't have too much data already. We have it right here. So if we just open it now, we see all the columns that, our data actually, has. So coming right here is to just take a preview of the same data, just like what we've seen in Power Query. So this is what it is. Because we have one table, there is no point for we to go and use the, relationship part aspect right here, the modeling part. So we don't need to do anything right here. So we're just going to get ourselves, fixed right here to start doing some visualization and all of that. Any moment from now, we are going to be frequenting the Power Query environment just for we to actually add some custom columns and as well to make some transformation to help us to create a dashboard just the way we want. So right now, this particular column is not available in our data set, this one as well. And some of those particular columns we have used to create our visualization just due to the kind of question being asked or what the end users would like to see. But first thing first is for we to know how many employees do we have available in our organization. Let's do that. It wouldn't look well if I start creating mergers inside those particular columns here. So what I normally do is just for me to go to my home. And from home, I have this particular enter data. So I'm going to create a helping column or a helper column, depends on what you want to call it. So right here, I'm going to name it anything like all measures. So just straight up, just load it. So now we have the new, table we've just created right here. So there is no relationship between this table and this table because it is actually blank. Nothing is actually on it. all we want to do is to make sure we organize all our measures right in here for we need to actually, add it up to make it some kind of too clustered, whatever. So now I'm going to come here, have it open. And the first thing I do is just to right click and I just go to where it says new measure. We can now rename our measure to total employees. So putting down equal to right here. So the right function to be used is count rows. So count rows would actually be looking for the table. That is the whole table where you have all your columns sitting. So on the table is named data. So if you don't forget it, so here we go. So we have it data. Just go ahead and close it. So shift enter will take you to the next line, and here we go. So this gives us our numbers of total employees. So you can have it formatted right here with comma separator. If you have it in thousand, that will be very, a good idea. So we can bring this one to a card. Just go ahead and select the card here, and this some kind of give us the total employees we have available in our organization. So that is what it is. So the next thing we can do right now is to try as much as we could to get the numbers of the male and the female, employees based on the attrition. So now this is actually the total employee. Before we calculate how many attrition we have in the male gender and the female gender, we would have to know what is the level of attrition first. But before then, we'd have to know what we're going to base this on. So if I click on this particular, data view, I'll go to my data, and from there I can see attrition. So here, when we actually have it on no, which means that particular employee is still our current employee, and where we have the attrition to be yes is where we have it as an ex-employee, which means the employee is not more in our organization. So to do the calculation now, what we can do is just to come right here. So go to the same place. So you have two options, right click, or you come here and click on new measure. So that will still give you this. Let us see how we can calculate our total attrition before we branch out from there to see how many males and how many females. So to calculate our total attrition, remember we have already calculated the total employees. So I'm going to use the calculate function, and from there I can actually go ahead and use the total employees we have calculated. So with my comma for the expression, I'm going to use the filter, then the filter, and inside the filter I'm going to pass in a table. That is the table where my whole data is. So I'm going to pass in a table, data. So after data, the next table I'm going to pass in right now is going to be the column where I have my yes and no, which actually, state that a particular employee is not more in the organization or is still currently working with us. So that is going to be attrition, and the attrition is actually sitting in this particular data. So you see column right here, which we've just seen, previously. So with equal to, I want where everything is actually years. I can go ahead and close this, shift enter to enter the next line. Then I go ahead and close this and I hit my enter key. That will give me the total attrition in our organization currently. So if I actually do the same thing by bringing this into a card, I'm going to click on attrition. So it gives me 492. Can you see that? So if you come back to the finished one, so we have total employees and we have attrition by distance to work. So I told you this particular column is not existing in our data. So we're going to add it up right now. So let's see how we can do that. So go back right here. And from here right now, we can go ahead and click on, transform data. So we're going to actually go to, this is where we use the, choose column that has to do with go to column here. So if I click on go to column now, I'm going to actually go to a particular column that is named as distance. That is distance from home. If I just click on it, I click on go, and it takes me straight up to that particular part without me trying to guess where it could be. So now we have this. If I open it up right now, you can see we have from 1. So I'm going to load more. So I'm going to scroll all the way down. So from 1 to 29, and we have to categorize this to see how people are further from the workplace or from the office. So what are we going to do? How do we do this? Just look at what I'm going to do now. So the next thing I do is for me to click on add column. So remember, we have transform and we have add column. So whatever we do right on transform actually override what we have on the column. So whatever we do on add column doesn't override this. It actually created a new column for us. So, and that is what you should know. So the next thing I do right now is for me to go to conditional column here. So inside conditional column, so we have the column name, which is going to be distance status. So I'm going to come right here right now. I'm going to come here. I'm going to look for the same column, this distance from home. And I'm going to say where it is less than or equal to, 10. Which means anything that starts from 0 down to 10. So it's going to be nearby. So I'm going to actually have to name that as nearby. So which means all of those workers in this category are very close to the organization or to the company. So the next one again is for me to add on that clause. I'm going to come right and pick the same, distance from home. And this time around is going to be less than or equal to. So right here is going to be 20. So anything that starts from 11 down to 20 will be far. So will be far. And whatever doesn't meet this particular two, criteria we just kind of not like, mentioned here, should be very far. So that's going to be very far. So this time around, I'm going to click on OK. Let's see what happens. And this is what it is. So it's actually a text, data type. I'm going to change that. It's very important. You should always do that. And this is what we get when we have this created. And I just feel like, let me just create some couple of ones here before we go back to Power BI. So the next one we're going to do right now is the total working year. Before we do that, let me just go back to home and let us go ahead and look at what column it is. So it's going to be total working years. So we just have to scroll down and here we go. So I'm going to go to the column. So under this column right now, if I just, make it much more visible. So we have from 0. From 0 means people who are actually currently in organization within some few months ago. It's not up to a year. And we have 1 who is 1 year ago, 2 years ago. And we have down to people who had been in the organization for almost over 38 years, which is 40 years plus, whatever it is. And if I open more, let's see if we have more of it. Down to 40 years, that is just the maximum. So now we're going to group them together to see people who just left us based on maybe they're actually people between 0 to 10 years, people who had just been with us within 10 years ago. So let's see how we can do that. So the same thing I've done is what I'm going to do right here. Just go to conditional column. And now we have to name this. We're going to name this to working years group. And we just have to say if total, just make sure you go down, total working year. So if this is less than or equal to, so 10, is from 0 down to 10, from the first month or even the first day the person resumed down to 10 years of people who had been in the organization. So it's going to be between 0 to 10. So I believe you get a gist. So the next one is going to be the same column is what we're going to have to bring in again. Total working years is less than or equal to 20. So now here is going to be between 11. So it's going to be between 11 to 20. So remember this one stopped at 10. So this one now, once it stopped at 10, this one is going to actually start from 11 and it's going to stop at 20 because of our next specification. So this one is going to be the same thing again. I will have to scroll the way down to pick it, total working. Yeah, make sure you pick the same column when doing this, else you're going to have to encounter some errors. So here is going to be 30. And right here now, we're going to say between, that is going to be between 21 to 30 here. And whatever is not within this particular, 10, 20, 30 is going to be above 30. And how do we put that? We're going to say 31 plus. So 31 plus, and that is okay. So we go ahead and close and click on OK. And that will definitely create this particular one for us. So don't forget to always use this and go ahead and make sure it's on text. Let us check on that column that we need to some kind of, transform. That is going to be the job satisfaction. I'm going to go to choose column. So I want to locate where I have my job satisfaction writing. And this is going to be this one here. I'm going to click on OK. That takes us to the column. So on that job satisfaction, let's see what we have. So if I have it opened up now, we have just from 1 to 4, right? So from this 1 to 4, we just want to classify 1 to be very satisfied, 2 to be satisfied, 3 to be dissatisfied, and 4 to be very dissatisfied. So we want to know the attrition level within those particular, 4 group of it. So I'm going to click on OK right now, which means we've seen that. So the next thing we're going to do is just for we to make sure, do we create any filter? No. Remove rows. What this row is this? Okay. So it looks as if we created some filter. I'm going to actually just remove this because I clicked on OK. It added a step for me. So we don't want that step, and that step is gone. So remember, we are on job satisfaction. So I'm going to come right here right now. I'm going to actually add on the conditional column. So quickly, we just have to get this off and change it to job satisfaction. And we have to choose the column that will definitely help us to actually create that. And what we do is for we to go to job satisfaction, and we're going to say where it is equal. This time around, we're going to do equal to because we're actually going to base it on one single number. So if this is equal to 1, which is that those particular employees that fall between this particular range of 1 will be very satisfied. So very satisfied. So the next one is going to be if the same people or if different people fall within these particular buckets. So that is 2. So we just want to actually classify that as satisfied, just satisfied. So anybody who is within this particular next specification, that is going to be 3, will be dissatisfied. Here will be dissatisfied to dissatisfied. And if those ones were not met, so whatever is left, we want to classify that on very dissatisfied. So we can now go ahead and click on OK. And that will definitely create the group of it for us. So we just have to make sure we choose the right, formatting better, right? The last column we're going to add right here would have to do with the age, the age group. So I think we some kind of had it some kind of group for us, but I'm not very much satisfied with what we have right here. So I just want to actually group mine to create what I want. So we have 25 to 34, 35 to 44, and on that in the 5 right here. So if you are cool with what is here, you can go ahead and use this, but I'm not very much cool with this. So I just want to create mine. So what you need to do is just to make sure you look at the age. You can see how I'm looking for the age instead of me to just go to choose column and get to know the column I really want something from. So open it up to see where it starts from. plenty of the countries in the world would actually want people to be 18 or above 18 before they can work in organizations. So we can see the minimum years we have right here right now is just 18 years, 19 and 20, whatever. So, and we can scroll down and you see the maximum is 60 years. So we want to actually break this in different age buckets and see where we have more employee attrition than the other and stuff like that. To do that right now, you know the drill. Let us just walk through it and see how it goes. So conditional for conditional column. And this time around, we just have to rename this one to something like age bucket. And we just have to go to where we have the age right in. And here is the age. So what we want now under the age is this. So we want if this age is less than or equal to 25. So remember when we say less than or equal to 25, that's going to start from 18 because 18 is the minimum age we have in our data set. So it's going to start from 18 and start coming, 18, 19, 20 down to 25. Once it gets to 25, it's going to stop. And that would make us to name this one 18 to 25. And we're still going to actually add another clause right here. And we go to the same age. And we say where it is less than or equal to, this time around is going to be 35. So 35. So now it's going to start from 26 now and stopped at 35. So this is going to be 26 now to the 35 we just specified. Do you get that? So we add another one and we just want to go with the same age again. So we select where it is less than or equal to. This time around is going to be 45. And here is going to start from 36 and it's going to stop at 35. 36 and it's going to stop at 45. And we add another one again and we say this one is going to be 55, adding that clause. So we can just go ahead and say where it is less than or equal to 55. So if that is the case, it's going to start from 46 and stop at 55. That is what it is. So 46 and stop at 55. And whatever is not within those particular, ones we specified right here, we just want to classify it as 56 plus. So we can just write 56 plus. So I can decide to choose plus, or I can just decide to use this particular one right here. Anyone can go. But if you don't have, the software that actually prompted me to use this, you can't use normal plus like this. It's not going to actually show up, right? So you can just use normal plus that looks just like this and it's okay. It can actually work the way you want it to be. So let us just go ahead and click on OK and see what it is. So now can you see it right here? This is what it is. So now it's actually a text, even though if there's some group of number, or if there's some group of number, because we have some kind of dash in between, so it's no more number. So we can just go ahead and change the data type to text, and we are done from here. So you can see we've created like 4 different columns just to make sure we actually see where we have attrition coming, much more higher, and how we can actually tackle that. So the next thing we're going to do right now is to go to home and close and apply. So that has been loaded here, and this is where the work starts. I don't want this attrition right now. I'm going to get the attrition off. So it is time for we to start to create our chart. So to get our first chart created, all I'm going to do is to enter the kind of chart I want to actually create from this particular visuals we have right here. So my first chart will be this particular donut chart right here. So clicking on it, I have it right here. I can just make it big. And I'll come here and search for what I want to use as the dimension. I'm going to just type in distance, and it gives me distance status, which we've just created as a custom column. And this time around, I want to go by attrition, like total. And I see my total attrition right here. I click on it and it actually breaks it down for me by total attrition that we have. So I'm not really cool with how this looks, so I can just clean it up a bit. So I just go to the legend for the first time and make sure I don't have title for my legend. It actually takes off the title for me. And I try to position my legend where I feel like I'm cool with. I just want to bring it down to the bottom center. And that is okay. I love it that way. For now, I just want to leave it like this. And what I'm going to do now is just to make sure I go to this particular part where I can actually pull away the title and just have something like this. So for the time being, this is what I want to have before we decide to actually create our custom template in PowerPoint. The next one is attrition by working year, and the chart I would like to use for that is this particular stacked bar chart right here. So once I use this stacked bar chart, I just want to come right here and actually select the attrition, that is total attrition. Remember, we are using total attrition, not total employee, because that is what we want to get insight from. If you remembered, we created a working year group. So, and here we have a working year group right here. I just want to choose this, and that will give us working year group that we just created previously. So I just have to make sure I let it be here for now and create other ones that I want to use. I just want to go ahead and create another one, which is this one, to be used for something different. So this chart here is going to visualize the job satisfaction status we created. Like that is just the job satisfaction. So we have job satisfaction and we have job satisfaction status. So which we're going to pull in right now. And the next thing we'll bring in the total attrition we have right on it. And this is what you have. So remember, we have it not too cool. It is not looking just like what we have right now, but don't worry, we're going to make it like that in a jiffy. All we have to do is to make sure we get all our visual ready before we start to do this. So if we come back right here right now, you can see where we have a attrition rate. That is the percentage of the total people that are not more working with us in our organization, which is very simple to be created. Let us just go ahead and do that and see how it is. So I'm going to clear the filter I have, and now I'm going to click right here. So I can right click to create new measure, and this new measure will help me to create my percentage of attrition. So it's going to be equal to, I'm going to be using the divide, function for that. And now I'm going to go with so just open the square bracket. That will just give you all the measures you've created without mixing the tables we have existing in the data set we have. So now what I want for the first time is the total attrition. I pick it up. So with my comma, the denominator now is going to be my total employees. And for anything like alternative, divide by 0, just give me 0 and all of that. So if I hit my enter key right now, the next thing I do is to make sure I format this into a percentage, which is just going to be this one. Or you can actually open it up right here and choose percentage number formatting. So it depends on how you want to have it formatted. Do you want to have some kind of, proceeding number? Is it proceeding number or trailing number? Like some kind of decimal places, whatever. So I think I just want to have it with just 0. Just change that. And let's see, we have to drag that into a new card and see how it looks like. So this one gives us the rate of attrition, just like what we've seen in the previous one when we come right to this particular part right here. Can you see that? That is better. Okay, the next thing we do is this particular chart we have right here. We want to create this particular chart individually. Ordinarily, if we bring in our department, we actually plot it in this kind of chart. This is how it is going to look like. So we just want to make a little bit, tweak to our chart for we to create something different than what we had been seeing people creating basically before now. Let us try that and see. So for we to actually get to know what we are doing right here, what I'm going to do is to bring up a table. So with this table, I just want to make sure it fills everywhere, just like this. Don't actually bother about what it covers. We're going to delete it in a jiffy. So I'm going to actually bring in my department. So we have 3 departments. We have HR, R&D, and sales department. So for now, because of the kind of chart we want to create, do you know what we're going to do? We're going to individually try to extract how many attrition we have on each department before we decide on what to do and how to create our chart. So get this one off and click right here I don't want to do this from the scratch. Already we have some kind of created something like this previously before now. All we just have to do is just to make a little tweak on this, and actually that is all we have to do. So make sure you copy this if you're already right here. So Ctrl C to copy. And this time around, we want to actually create a new measure. Okay, with this new measure we've created, we're just going to paste in this one here. So with Ctrl V, you have it pasted and you make a change to this. So the change I'm going to make now is just for me to say HR department. So HR department, and I come right here, I calculate. What this one does is this: when you use the calculate function, you're trying to branch out from the whole total employees and try to filter through it. You know, inside this particular table here, we have a column. We have a column existing that is actually named attrition, and what we did was for it to say where we have just attrition, and this time around that is not what we just want to calculate. We are trying to calculate something different. I'm going to take this from the scratch again for me to show you how it works. So all I'm going to do now is just for me to actually clear this away from here, and for we to calculate this, in case those of you that didn't follow up from the first our creation. So we're going to use the calculate function right now. And we just have to bring in our total attrition here. This time around, it's not all employees or total employees we're going to actually use to do this. Instead, we're going to use the total attrition, which is all the attrition we have totally in every department. So right now, we want to filter just the HR, just based on what we have just used as this particular measure name. So now to do that, we just have to use filter. So we use filter, and inside this filter is looking for the table where the column we are looking for is actually sitting. So we're just going to go with data because that is the name of the table. So once we do this, we put our comma, and now is the filter expression. What do we want? So here we have a particular column called department. So once we type in the department, we can see this now. Here is the department. And now what we want to say now is this: where we have a particular, HR like this sitting, you can actually decide to use the small letter or use the capital letter for the first one, like, all that proper case, and once you're done, you can go ahead and close this and close the, our calculate function and hit to enter. That creates this for you, right? So just because we've done this right now, we're not going to do this over and over again. I've just shown you what I actually achieved right here. We have just, one more step to go. But before then, let us finish creating all this. I'm just going to go ahead and insert a new measure. So Ctrl V to paste it down. And now I just have to change this part here to my R&D. So, and I just have to do the same thing to this one as well. So R&D. And that is all we need to do for these changes. I hit my enter key. That will create another department for me. For the third one, I hit this again. And I paste this one right in here. So here is going to be my sales department. So it's going to be sales. And right here is going to be sales as well. So make sure you check the spellings before you just agree that everything is okay. Okay, that is nice. So do you know, ordinarily, if we try to create a chart with this, now what we have to drag here now is the total attrition, and our chart is going to look like this, just like this chart. But we just want to create every single, department. That is what we want. That is where we're going to actually have to create another 3 measures different from the one we've just created right now. So for that, I'm cool with this. I'm going to have this one removed. We don't need it again. Now, let me show you something for you to create easy accessibility to all your measures. So we're going to go to this particular, relationship or module view. So once we get here, we are going to click on we want to create a folder inside this particular all measure. And now I'm going to select this particular HR department here. I'll now come here and make sure I create a folder for it. So I'm going to just type in department. So department, I hit OK, and that will just create a new folder for me. Inside this new folder, I want to actually make sure I have this particular, R&D department and sales department inside it. So you can just make sure you drag it on top of the folder and it will fall into the folder. So this is something that you need to know about. I just want to show you and just drag this right here. And that helps you to pull this right in here. So you can close this folder and you can see how it's compressed. Just look at the view we have here. So now we have it. Once I open it up, I have this and all that and have others outside it. So inside here, one thing is this: if you create the next one, it might not be here. You have to drag it inside here, but that is notwithstanding. Just go through this little stress and make sure you create folder for your measures to make sure you group your measures in different, folders. So now what we want to do now is this. I'm going to create a new measure here. So on this new measure, I want to name it as remain. So let me just say remain R&D. So I'm going to put my equal to there. So with my square bracket, it's going to give me all the measures I have some kind of all calculated before now. And I'm going to go to where we have total attrition. So I'm going to subtract it from what? Subtract it from the R&D. So square bracket again. And here we have it. I'm going to have to just click on tab key to commit it. And I hit my enter key. So even though if I don't decide to some kind of format this, I don't need this. It's just for me to actually use this to create the kind of chart I want to create. I might just want to leave it like this. And the next thing I do is for me to copy this one away from here. Ctrl C. Now new measure. So we can go ahead and paste this right here. So we just have to name this one like sales. So instead of me to use my R&D here, I'm going to use my sales here. So I'm going to go with sales department. I'll hit my enter key. And once I'm done committing this one, what I'm going to do now is to create another measure, which is the third measure for HR. So now I'm going to paste it here. Then this one is going to be my HR. And here I'm going to have to make sure I get this off. So I'm going to go with my HR right here. I'm going to hit my enter key. So our chart is ready to be created. So now I told you if we have this closed now, the remains will not be part of it. So we'll have to go back right here and manually drag them in. So I'm just going to drag and put it inside this folder. So just give it some time. It works. So go here and make sure it's on top of the folder. So the last one is just the sales. Come here and drag this one into the sales. So because I'm going to use this one for some group of charts, so I just want to have them in one folder. Then I will know where to pick from. So now I can compress it, and this is what I see. So nicely done. It's time for we to create the kind of charts that will definitely be used with that. So it is time to create our chart. So I'm going to just bring in this chart here. So let me make it bigger for me to show you what we are doing here. I just want to make sure it's filled up. So I'm going to open this up now. I want to go with my HR department. So that actually brings in my HR department. So if I go to my HR, remain HR right now. So this actually creates this for me. So here is my HR. This is just what I have for my HR right here. 24, which is 4%. Let us try to see if this is exactly what it is. So if I just make sure I bring this down a bit now, I'm going to have it right here. I want to come here and take this. I'm going to go with my HR, and that is where HR department. So it gives me 24. And if I deselect it now and bring the remain HR, now what I'm going to have is this particular number right here. So can you see that? So this is the number that filled up this place. That was how I just got to create a chart like this. And I just give it to individual of it. So let us just make sure we finish it up. So what I'm going to do now is just for me to make sure I clean this up a bit before I decide to some kind of, just go here. I'm going to remove the legend from it. And I want to come here. I'm going to take off the title. So yeah, the legend should be turned off. The label should be turned off as well. Here is my HR. Even though if I forget, I can just hover over it and it gives me HR. I don't know what it is. So I can just make it a bit smaller like this. You can copy and actually paste it and paste it 2 times and drag this away from here and drag this away down to this part. So now let us see what we do next. Come here and now you can go for this, remove everything and let us go with R&D. And here we have it and you can see this part right here. Can you see that? This is the remain, and this is what we're looking forward to seeing. So don't worry, when we start changing the color, you will understand what it is and how this one can actually help you to have a good visual on your dashboard. So now we go to sales department and remain sales, and this is what you have. Can you see this? So I can just make sure I bring this closer to this one here, which I'm gonna still make a little, adjustment later after all. So I'm just gonna bring this one here for now. So the next one again is not going to be this complicated. It was because this one is actually, multiple, like 3, even if it is more than 4. But if you just have something that has to do with just 2, like this, I'm gonna go with a new chart, the same kind of chart here. And this time around, I'm gonna bring in my gender. So my gender, which is male and female. So, and next again, I'm going to actually go with my total attrition. So total attrition is this. I want to actually make sure I take off this. I'm going to take off the data label and I'm going to come right here. I'm going to turn off the title for it for now. So here, this one, I can actually use this one for my male. And I'm going to double this by copy and paste. I just have one for my female. So what I just do is to make sure I change, I change the color. So in fact, we are almost there. Don't be too faster than your shadow. You just have to take it slowly if you want to understand this. That was how I just got to create this kind of dashboard. So the next thing we're going to do right now, before we can start to do something, we have to do some mop-up right here. But before that can be some kind of cool, we just have to create a template, and that will just make us to go to PowerPoint. So right here, I have my PowerPoint. I'm just going to launch it and let's see if our PowerPoint comes up. And here we go. We have our PowerPoint, and this time around, we have to create a template that we're going to use for this. So let me bring up the previous presentation or the previous one I created. So here we go. We have the previous one, like 3 of them. So we have this, and this. So and this is where we are right now. So we want to create something like this that looks exactly like this. So let's see how we can do that. So for that, I'm just going to go Ctrl-N to actually insert a new one. So get this one off, delete them off. You don't need them. So it is time for me to change the color of this. So it's a white background and we want to use a darker background. To change the background right now, all you have to do is to right click and go to format background here, and you have this. You can have the flexibility to move this anywhere you like. I can just want to move it right here or even in the middle. And now click right here and you see this particular, black with 5%. Just click on it and it changes the whole thing for you. You can see everything's looking very dark. Okay, fine. All right, next is for we to some kind of just move this away a little bit. So for now, we don't want to make sure it just move it a bit right here, leave it there. So go ahead and get this, insert, and from insert you go to this particular shapes. From shapes you pick this particular shape right here and you drag it in. And I just want to go ahead and change the color we have right for it. So before then, let us go to the line and say no line. And now we can come right here and change it. I'm going to come here and paste a new code to actually get my kind of color for me. So if I just click on this right now, I have it pasted right in and I can just like show you what it is. So we have #484B5C. And if I go ahead and commit this, click on OK, it gives me this very kind of color. So now I don't want this for the time being. I can just get it off. So it is time for me to actually make sure I make it bigger than this. So let us be on the same page by working with the same dimension. So I'm just going to go to this particular shape format here. And from there, I come to this particular part where it says your height and your weight. For the height right here, we have to define what height we want for it, which is going to be 6.86 by what? It's going to be by 12.6. And if I hit my enter, this is what I have. So it is time for me to just make sure I adjust this. And now for this particular curveness, I don't want it because it's too much. I have to reduce this. How do we do that? Just, can you see this right here? This yellow thing, when you have your cursor right on it, hold down and actually just drag it and make sure you just reduce it a little bit. And that is okay. So now if I'm not satisfied with what it is, I can't centralize it to my satisfaction. I have something to do that for me. And that is where you go back to shape. And now you go back to align, and you want to align center, and you go back again and say align middle. And that gives you perfect centralization. I love it. But this particular part here is too round. I reduce a little bit. And that is what gives me something like this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we go back to insert again. And from there, we go back here and we click on this and we drag it down, and we just have to change the number before we decide to see what dimension we can use for this, or what height and weight we can use for this. So I'm changing the color to this one. So right click and quickly go down and pick up where it says format shape. With that, we just have to change the color. I'm going to open here. I'm going to go to more colors. And here we just have to get this off and change it with this particular 2E2F3C. Once you hit your enter, and this is the kind of black it's going to give to you. And that is all you want. All right, we have this, but something is actually not too cool here. That is my, outline, which we don't really want. So go back again and make sure you take off the line. So that will give you something very cool, right? So now it is time for we to define what height it is and what, weight we want to use. So for this very first one, I go to my shape format and I come right here. I take the one I have right inside it off and I paste in this like 3.13. And the next one is going to be my height. That is the weight I just defined. And it's going to be my 7.65. And that is what is going to give me something like this. Nicely done. So I can just reduce this a bit. That gives me something like this. Wow. So all I want to do now is just to duplicate this one and bring it all the way down and go back here. So come right here. We just have to go ahead and take this off. And now we have to do 2.98 as height. And now we just want to change this particular part to be 3.77. And that will give us this. We just have to just make sure we make it this way. And now I'm going to double this. I'm going to move this right here. So now I just want to make sure this one actually settle with this. So what I'm going to do now is just to click on this here. So go here and make sure you move this to the right hand corner. That is better. So I can deselect it. So hold two of them together and this one, and you go back to the same place again, and you make sure you come here and say move top, and that will give you something like this. Is this too hard? I guess no. So one more thing, I just want to come here and just have this duplicated. So after the duplicate, what I'm going to do now is just to right click and go to format shape. I just want to change the color, and I just want to go to more colors, and here we have this removed, and make sure we change it to this particular EE2868. And when we hit enter, it gives us something like this. It looks something too bright. How are you going to deal with this? But don't worry, I'm going to take this off for now. So we have this. What I'm going to do right now, I'm going to make sure is actually settling with this and it covers everywhere. It looks as if I'm going to leave it this way. It doesn't really make any damn sense. So what I'm going to do right now is to send this to back. Watch me do it. Right click on it and actually send to back. What is the use of this? I just want to use my arrow to the right on your keyboard and just make sure you move it a bit, and that gives you this kind of feel. I love the color the way it is. Okay, if you think this is some kind of madness, let me take you to the previous one I have created, and that is going to be this one, and this is how it looks. Can you see it? So I've just replicated something I have right here. So it is time for we to get to do something like this. Let us go back. And here we are. So for the first time, what I'm going to do right now is just for me to come to insert and go to shape. And from there, I'm going to take this particular circle, hold my shift key to draw a perfect circle, just like this, as wide as you like it. So I'm going to have to put this right in here. Okay, let's say we are cool with this. And the next thing I'm going to do right now is for me to change the color so we can go through here and just have the color changed. Doesn't really work because this one is actually meant for text. So let us go to shape format. Under the shape format right here, we have the fill color. When we do this, it's actually not working because it's the text color. So now we have the outline. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to say no outline to this. And now that is okay, right? But that is just not cool because all those ones here, they are all for text. So the right one is those ones here. So we have the fill color. If I click on this and change this to white, it works. Wow. For the outline, if we just step off now, we have an outline here, which we cannot see because it's not actually popping out because of the dark background we have. But that is notwithstanding. For we to have a clear color right there, we just have to go back to home, then shape format, and we just have to go to the outline here and say no outline. That is better. Please don't do this. Right. The next thing is for me to come right here and go to my icons. So that will definitely give me some bunch of icons I can choose from. Just search. If you know the name of the icon you want, you can actually make a search from here. So remind you, if you're having different icon from what I have, it depends on the version of your PowerPoint or Microsoft, package. I'm just going to search for like human. Let's see if this one will give us what we want. I think I have them. So I can just scroll through to pick the one I really want. Do I have what I'm looking for right here? Let's see. So I can't seem to find what I'm looking for here, which means I have to use another, search term. So I'm going to search for people. So if I hit my enter key right now, I can just scroll down to look for what it is that I'm looking for. So I got it. So I'm going to click on insert and that gives me what it is. So here we go. Can just make sure I bring it down a little bit. Can put it right in here. So I'm going to make sure it sits right here, but it's too dark. I just want to use the same color I've used for this particular background right here. So what I'm going to do right now is just for me to go to the top here and locate where I can actually have it. So this is graphic. For the fill color, I just want to go with this and it matches the color we have right here. So this is beautiful, right? Okay, now let us just bring in a text, text box. So that is where we have to write in the name of the dashboard. So here I write HR Attrition. That is all I write for the first time. And I just have to make sure I actually, increase the font size and stuff like that. So here we're going to make the font size to be like 32. Let's put it on 32 and that is okay. So we can just go ahead and duplicate this and we just want to have Ctrl+Z. So select this and drag it down a bit. And here we just type in dashboard. That is all. So on this first attrition, I just want to make sure I go to this particular home and I go to this part here where it says lose. So I just have to choose this. That is going to actually, just separate my alphabet a bit. So come right here and centralize it. And now we can take this one and move it to the top right here. So while we actually bring this one right in here, don't worry about the HR we have here, the way it has been underlined. So if we can't actually tell, it's just like, okay, we don't want to use it out of this. We can actually say ignore all, and that gives us this. So it's time for we to just play around with the text. I'm going to go with just right click and just say format. We want to format this, format shape. So now I'm going to go with my text option here. And on that text option, so we want to choose, say, no line. And right here, we want to go with gradient fill. And that will definitely give us something like this. But we don't want this. I'm just going to remove this. And I have something like this. So now it is time for me to play around with how I want it to look. So I just want to make sure I have something that looks just like this. But this one that has to do with white will be moved to the inner part like this for me. All right. So if you decide to change the way the direction is, you can just choose either of these and you can have something like this. That was how I just got to have something as cool as this. Can you see that? That is beautiful. So the next thing is for me to click on this one and just use the same thing. And for now, I'm just going to change this one to look more bolder than the HR attrition we have at the top. So let us change this. I'm just going to go to this home, and now we just have to change it to this particular kind of font. So here we click on enter, and once we drag it a little bit, so this is what we're going to have. This is how we just got this created, and it's amazing. So just want to make sure I shift a bit and we have something like this. So we can decide to just, change things around. So have this closed. So I can just hold my control key and just make sure I settle it just like this. So once I'm done with this, I want to go back to my insert, and I'm going to go back to this particular part and just get this. And I'm going to go ahead and just hold my shift key to drag a perfect line that looks just like this. So I think I just want to still extend it. Hold your shift key and just drag it a bit. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to move it down. And now we can change the color to this by just right clicking on this and go to format shape. So we can just decide to make sure it is a bit thicker. So just change the weight to 1.5. And now we can change the color to something like this dark color, and that is okay. We just want to leave it this way, and that is better. So right now we are done with this. We don't have any other thing to do. So right on this. So what we can do next is for we to just make sure we export this out of here. So go to file, and from there you click on export, and now you can choose how you want to have this exported. So change the file type, and now we have PNG. I'm just going to double click on this. So I want to choose where I want to have it writing. So go to download and have this particular new post here, and you locate where you have your HR. So here we go. And now here I'm going to actually have to say templates 01, and I'm going to hit my enter. I'm just going to say just this one. And now we go back here, we choose this. So it is time for us to start to get things the way it should be. I want to remove this particular Q&A. So what we can do now is to come here and choose this particular canvas background, then choose this browse here, and it takes us right to this particular part, and we'll pick this up. We can't find it, right? The reason being is just because we have it on 100% transparency, which we have to change to 0, and we're going to have something like this. Oh my goodness. It looks awkward, right? Because we have most of our charts with some kind of background. All right, we have to start removing those background from those charts to clean them up the way it should be. To do that now, we just have to go hit this particular general, and we come to effects and we turn it off. And that is what we have. So now the next thing we're going to do right now is just for we to just get out from here and go to visual. And now we turn off this, and it is time for we to actually go ahead and change the color to this. So for now, we just want to leave it like this. So we're going to have to come back here in a jiffy, but let us just make sure we have something like this. So we're going to visit this later after all. So now on this one here, I just have to go ahead and just make sure I go to here, come here, and just turn the background off. So I don't want to mind how the charts look for now. I'm much more concerned about the background. I just want to turn them off totally. So turn them off, so it's gonna give me some kind of nice thing to work with. So sorry for this, I just have to take my time to clean them up. So right now, before your eyes, before you know what is going on, we're gonna have this, cleaned up, and it's gonna look very some kind of cool. All right, we have this. It's a bit messy. It is time for we to start to touch the bit and see how we can actually, come up with something very good. So we're starting from here. How do we go about this? What kind of font can we use for this to make sure it pops? So right on this, we want to go with Area Black. So I'm going to go here, go to here, And wanna put this one on 60. So 60, and we come right here and we select the kind of font that will be called for it. So I'm just gonna go with something like this. It pops. Okay, fine, I love it. So I leave it this way, and now it is time for we to create what this one is. So I'm just gonna go with insert, and from insert I want to choose my text box, and here I have to type in what I want to have right there. Total employees. So I'm gonna click. I just make sure you actually have it highlighted, and you just choose to actually use a theme, and let's see what the theme does. And now we can change the color to look like this. Okay, fine, let's go with this. I just have to make sure I choose some kind of, make it in the middle, and I bring it all the way down right here. So because we have background on it, it's not showing where it's supposed to be showing. So we go to the effect right here and we turn this off, and this is what we have. Very cool, right? Oh my goodness. All right, the next one is for we to just make sure we some kind of format this chart for it to look somehow cool. So all I need to do for the first time is to change the whole color of the chart. But before then, let's go with this. So no, for legend, we just have to make sure we go to the text and we change the text to the legend to something that pops like this. Wow, that is nice. So we can have it closed because we're done with that. And we go to this particular one where it says data labels, and we have to give it what would make it look much more attractive. So we go with the color and we select something like this that pops as well. That is better, right? Okay, what about these particular ones right here? How do we go about it? So we have to select some kind of color that is going to actually, send some message. Correlation. So this is what I do. So if I come here now and click on this, and I just go to this particular part and I go to slicer. So I have this particular three set of, colors right here. I can't remember the colors I've used, maybe the color code. I'll just come to this and I'll click on this because I want to get this color. So what I'll do now is just for me to pick this exact color to be used. I'll go to format shape and I'm going to click on the color part right here. I will use this particular part and I'll just click, copy it. I'll run straight back to my Power BI. And now it is time for me to change this color and go right here and have this pasted. And that gives me this particular color. Okay, let's say I want to use this particular same kind of black color right here. What I'm going to do now is just for me to go back here and just click on OK to this. Okay, just click this and do the same thing, more colors, and here you have it. So you can pick this, and that is how we just got to pick colors from the previous work we've done just to make sure we have this particular place filled up. Okay, now we just want to change this particular part of it, and I'm going to go with this. That is better. So the next one is going to be this particular part here, which is this color is what I've used. So what do you see? So my dashboard is popping up just the way it should be. Okay, here for this one here, I just want to have this one duplicated, and that is all you just have to do. Just copy and actually have it pasted. Then you drag it right here. So you actually expand it out and type in what you want to use to explain what the chart is all about. So right here, I'm going to say, so just have to make sure Control A. I'm going to just say attrition to work. Attrition to work. Yeah, does it make sense? So it doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to say attrition by distance to work. I think this will make a lot of sense. So if I step off it now, can you see it right now? So remember, I spent a lot of time right on this just to create something like this. In case it is not looking just like a replica of this, please forgive me. So you just have to spend some time to do this. So let's see what is next. You know what? We go back here. All right, we are here. We just have to make sure we select a very nice, cool color for this. And we just have to scroll this down a bit and pick this up. And let's go with something like this. It looks somehow too bright, and I'm kind of going with this, and this might look cool. I love it. So I can just bring this one in. I just have to go ahead and close the bars. And now it is time for we to see the X and the Y axis. So the X axis is the one here. The Y axis is this one. So we just have to touch the Y axis for now. For the color of the Y axis, I just want to go with something like this because it pops a lot. I can just decide to make sure it pops more. So I gave it this. For the title, I'm going to take it off. We don't want the title for it. And that is done. So I just want to go with my X axis. Totally, I want to have it removed. No title. And no, I don't want to show anything. So that is gone. So we can just decide to just make sure we pull this a little bit, And now it is time for we to have this closed and go to the data label and turn it on. So that is cool. For my data label, we just have to use color that will pop on data label. So click on this one and we just go to this particular value here. And we choose to use the color that will definitely make a lot of sense. So this time around, we want to go with something like this. So now what we've done now, can we actually go ahead and just make sure we copy it using the format painter and we have it right on this, and definitely it works. It works so well. So this is what we want. So the next thing we have to do now is just for me to bring this down a little bit, for me to have space right here to put what the title is all about. Just have to bring this down a bit. And now it's time for me to bring in the title. I just want to go ahead and copy this. So just do the copy and paste. And now we drag this right in here. So it is time for we to just write what this one is standing for. And when we are done with that, we actually quickly do this particular part as well. So I'm going to drag it to this end. So let's do this. So right here, it will be attrition by employee satisfaction. So something like this, satisfaction. So I think I'm going to have C right here. And now let us change this one and see. So this one will be attrition by working year. So something like this. You can just extend this a little bit. So now, here we go. Can you see this? It's making a lot of sense, right? If we are not cool with the color, do not worry. We can make a change every single time we're not cool with something. What we do is to change that. All right, now here is this. So I just want to go with this and copy the same. Just want to copy the formatting and have it for this, but I don't want something as huge as this. I just want to go ahead and reduce this. Let us go to callout value, and I'm going to put this one on like 40. Let's see what 40 is. So 40 is okay. And now we just have to put it right here. What I'm going to do is just to name this one like my, rate of attrition. Yeah. So we just named this one attrition rate. And what we can do now is to make sure we create a size that will definitely, fit into this particular part right here. So which means we have to control how this look, and we have to create something exact, What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to take this off and control the size of the first one first before I actually bring this in. So I'm going to go with this, and I'm going to have to fit this one right here. I think I don't see the need of me taking those ones off. I can Ctrl Z to bring them all back. So we don't need to take them off. We can just Ctrl Z to bring them all back. So after bringing them all back, what I'm going to do right now, let's see if this one can actually be done at the same time. I'm going to actually highlight 3 of them. So go right here and go to general, and from there go to property. And now we can control it from here. So all I want to do is this. I'm going to use the height to be 103. And let us choose the weight to be 125. And this works nicely. You see, I would have just done something that would create some kind of little bit, work for me. So now I've done this. So please don't delete. So it is time for me to set this right. I'm going to bring this right here. Can take it up a little bit. Just like this. And I can just make sure this one as well. Can just have it right here. something like this. Now it's time for me to just, highlight and select all of them at the same time. So go to format here, and now we can play around with height, align. So go to align here, and I want to align this one to the top. So now we actually, distribute this, I think horizontally, and that is okay. So this is what we wanted to do. So now it is time for we to actually play around with the color and see how we can do this. So let's start with this one here. I'm going to go to this part. I'm going to open this place up. So for this very color we have right here, we have to change it to something that looks just like this. Can you see that? Now for the second color, I want to go with this particular, let me go with this color here. That is better. And just like this color. And now we come here and we select the same thing. So we just have to hover over this. And what we want to do is the R&D department. And this is what we want. So when we hover over this, if it gives us remain, which means we have to just make sure we use the same color for this. And that is what is going to happen. So I select something like this. And that is cool. So we come right here and select this particular color for it. Can you see that right now? This is beautiful. Now it's making a lot of sense, right? So now for the third one here, so we just hover over it, and here is my sales department, and here is the remain. So we just want to color the remain with this particular same color. And now it is time for we to change this color to any color that will actually, be cool with this. So the color we're going to use for this now is this particular color right here. So can you see that right now? So this is what it is. So we've just gotten this created, and what we need to do now is to actually have the values we have right inside them. Here is my HR department, and here is my R&D, and here is my sales. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to get this. I just want to copy this just because we have some formatting right on it. I just want to make sure I make it some kind of little and find a way to put it inside this particular circle right here. So let us just go here and quickly change this. And I'm going to go with this part here. I want to put this on 13. So I'm going to put it on 13. And now I'm going to make sure it's a bit small. So now I drive it in here. So we just decide to change the color to it. So we want to change the color right here. So now I have something like this. So it is time for me to just get this one copied and paste, and I want to move this one right in here, and I move this one right here as well. So after we might have done this, so it is time for we to bring in the right value inside here. So which means we're going to go ahead and so we just want to say for HR, so we go with this. We just have to click here and take this attrition off. We just have to go with HR. So for what? This is for R&D department. So we take this off. We go with R&D department. It gives us the value. So now we go with sales. So we remove this and we go with what? We go with the sales department right here. So make sure you select the right one. And that is all. This one is the sales department. And that is exactly what it is. So it is time for we to create the legend. So this one is going to help us to actually create the legend we want to actually have for it. So we just have to make sure we do the copying again. And now we just bring this one right here. And we just want to make sure this is not as... So if this one is actually on 18, we might want to put this one on 12. And that would be cool. And I just want to actually put my HR here. So we can just make it a bit smaller. So I can find my way to make sure it sits right here. So now we just have to copy and duplicate this and just move it around where it should be, and move this around where it should be as well. So now this one is going to be my R&D. So it's going to be R&D. So while this one is going to be my sales department. So now this is how they look. So you can actually highlight them at the same time and just move them up a bit. And now it is time for we to create some kind of, we just want to create some kind of, let me just paste one more time. I just want to bring this to this particular part here. I'm going to have it opened up to tell people what this particular chart is all about. So I'll go ahead and actually get this one as well, because I want to be consistent with the, so I can just go ahead and just actually type in here attrition. So I remove this one. So attrition, I'm going to type in here by department. Okay, so now we can just move this down. So we can move this down and let this one be here. You can just bring it down here. And now it is time for we to move this as well. So we just have to make sure this one is moved close to this. So we can decide to just make sure it is like this. Now, once we are done with this, we can just go ahead to insert. And from there, we can pick up this particular shape. And we're going to use something like this. So I'm going to bring this one right here. Something like this would be cool. So now we just have to change the color. So here is the fill color. We just have to go to border. So put in the border and just choose to use something like this. So this is cool. This sounds so cool. I think I love it. So we are almost right to this previous one we've created. It's looking just like that. So the next one now is for we to see how we can actually format this to look very, very cool. So I don't want these ones here. I just have to make sure I move them to the right, place. I think they're gonna be right here, just like this. So something like this. So now what I'm gonna do now, if I select this one and I go right to this particular part here, go to slides and actually come here, and I'm gonna select this same color that I've used previously for this one for it. And the next one, I'm gonna select this particular, let's say I try to use this color right now. So now if I use this color for that, so what I'm going to do now, this is actually the one that is standing out. That is the female. So for the male right now, this is the male. So which means I have to choose this color to cover the female. And for the male now, it is time for me to select the color I want to use for the male. And I have something like this. So it looks weird when we actually create this one the way we create this particular tree, the way we created this one. To give us some white here because it's beyond, I don't know how to tell you this, because it is beyond just two. So it's cool like this, but when we have more than two of the legends, so it is time we should actually use this particular method to have this created. So you can try it yourself to know what I'm talking about. So the next thing again is for we to create the percentage we have inside here, which we don't have right now. So we have to create that. How do we do that? Very simple and easy. So to calculate the percentage now, we can just do it. So make sure we create another measure. So I'm going to create a new measure here. So now instead of we to some kind of create two separate, measures, so we can create one measure using variable. So I'm going to say male attrition. So we can just use percentage of male attrition. So we just end. So put our equal to, shift enter to go into the next line. So I'm going to type in variable, var for variable, and I'm going to just type in male. So here it's going to be equal to. So I just have to use the calculate function to do this. And you know what it is? So just want to pass in here my total attrition right here. So we just have to use the filter. And from that, the table data, we've just done this before now. And from here, comma, then we just want to bring in the gender. And this is the gender. I want to say where the gender is equal to, male. So equal to male. So you close this, shift enter. So you can close this. So we've just done that. So shift enter, we close the second one. So now what is this? We've just some kind of stalled in the male gender attrition inside this particular male right now. So I can just name this one underscore male attrition. So let me just name it male attrition. So I've just told this particular numbers of male attrition inside this particular variable name here. That is what we have just done. So the next thing again is for me to create that variable. Shift enter to go into the next line. I'm going to type in variable, and this time it will be total underscore attrition. So total attrition, what I want to store inside here is the total attrition that we have. So after what I've done this, shift enter, we now return this. So now it is time for we to say shift enter again. So we now use the divide function to create our percentage. So we're going to divide this particular male attrition, which is the variable we created at the top right here, by that is going to be our numerator. For the denominator right here is going to be our total attrition. So get it right, 0, and we just go ahead and click and just close it. So now for this particular male attrition, this is the variable. For the total attrition, here is the variable we have right here. And let's see, we are done with this. Let me go ahead and hit my enter key. All right, that is nice. So we can just go ahead and format this one into a percentage number formatting, and we make sure we turn this particular auto to 0. So instead of 2, we have 0 right there. And all we have to do is to some kind of copy this. Control A, Control C to copy, and we click on new measure. So what we have just copied will be passed in here, and we turn this one to a female. So female, and we come right here, we turn this one to female. So this is a female. So automatically we just need to turn this one to female as well. So female attrition, and I'm going to come right here and change this one before we can have it right. So down the line will be gone. So just make these particular changes. For this variable right here is going to be constant. Just don't change it. I'm going to hit my enter key. That will definitely create my second percentage for female for me. Previously we created for male, and now we are creating for female. You can just click on this, and that will definitely help you to some kind of, turn it into a percentage, and we have 0 right here. We hit our enter key, and that would be cool. If we now drag it in any card right now, we have a percentage number formatting. So I just want to bring the previous card that I have just formatted. I just have to drag it right in here. And now I can just go ahead and uncheck this. Let me bring my male. So it's 60% for the male. And remember, this is the male right here. If you hover over it, it's giving me 63%. That is the same 63% point for the one, percent that we have right here. So remember, we remove the, decimal places. So all I have to do now is just for me to come here, go right here, and let us use 30 and see how 30 is going to look like. I think 30 is still big. I'm going to use 25 and see. Yeah, this is cool. So I can just reduce it, and I'm going to have it right here. 25 is huge. I'm using 20. There's some kind of a bit seat. So let us use something like 18, and that is okay. So what we can do now is just for me to some kind of use the same, the same thing. Sorry, we copy this formatting. So we just have to put it on 18. So we just want to copy this and paste it down, and we move it to this particular part right here. So we move it to this part here. Now we change this. We go ahead and make sure we remove this, and we put in our female percentage, female attrition. So that is exactly what it is. So I don't some kind of like the color I've used for this. I want to change the color. I can just go back right here and go to slicer and come right here. And I'm going to use the same color I've used for this. And that looks some kind of cool for me. I think I love this. Nicely done. So what is next for us to do? So let us see how we can actually, use text to tell what each and every one of the, the chart is all about. So I just want to make sure I drag this one right here. I'm going to have this right here, and this is what it is. So right here, I'm going to name this one my female attrition. So nicely done, copy and have it pasted. So we bring this all the way down to this particular part here. And here is going to be my male attrition. So male attrition. So we just have to bring in the value that will be peculiar to every single one of them. So we just actually use the percentage, but this time around, we don't want the percentage. We can just bring in the value right here. And if the value we want to bring here now, we don't need to go ahead and start writing any docs to do that. I can just show you another way to do this. And how do you do this? I just want to go right here and deselect this. So I'll bring my total attrition. So here we have the total attrition. So I'll open this particular place up and create the filter. So with gender, I'm going to drag in my gender right in here under the filter on visual. So what I want to get right now is just the female. I'm going to just check the female. It gives me the number of attrition we have, not on percentage right now. So once I'm done with this, I'm just going to go ahead and copy this and have it pasted. So once I've done that, I'm going to just take this one right here. And now I just want to take it off from, female. I want to select this particular male gender. And that gives me this. So can you see what it is? I'm just showing you different ways to do things right here. This is what you have. So we're not cool with how, massive this looks. I just want to go ahead and select this and change this one to 30. Let's see what that is like. So we can go with this. And something like this would be cool. So now can you see this? So let's say we've come to the end of this, and this is awesome. This is awesome. So if you have been this so far, all you have to do is to hit the subscribe button if you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, like button, because that is going to be some kind of encouraging, like doing something worldly that people are actually watching across the world. So this is what it is. So if you find something I've not done that I've done on this particular one that you think I need to address and you need to know about, so all you have to do is just for you to make sure you leave a comment and let me know what it is. I'm going to have to address it. Remember, we still have more to go, which is this particular job attrition right here, which we are still going to continue to create, after all. So now after that is this particular age bucket where we try to actually get in the, the chart that will be able to actually help us to analyze this and give us some details about the people on their age buckets, both male and female. So can you see this? Beautiful.